So this month we're in Bridlington. We parked on the Marine Drive and this is the view that was in front of us. Beautiful summer's day. It was probably about 10 o'clock when we got there and there was already families enjoying the beach. So along this promenade is the Bridlington Spa, which was opened in 1896 and it even had people like David Bowie playing there. So we carried on down to the start of the harbour and we came across what looked like a little bit of history of Bridlington, and I realised that Bridlington doesn't seem to have any history. And then when I did a bit of research, it got heavily bombed during the Second World War. So we carried on around the harbour and had a good look around, and I didn't realise that Bridlington is actually known as the lobster capital of Europe. It exports over 3,000 tonnes of crustaceans every single year. The thing that overwhelmed me the most was the sheer amount of people that was there. There seemed to be thousands. So we carried on round the corner and we was met by this almighty noise of a funrise. It was literally like Blackpool on steroids. And then we hunted down some fish and chips, which were absolutely delicious. Then I realised that what I wanted to capture was actually this way of life, this family holiday time at the seaside. I know I always complain about drawing out, but this was a mammoth task and it did take quite a long time, so I was very glad when I could actually get the paint out and start painting. So for this painting I decided to use a Winsor & Newton designer gouache rather than the Himi jelly paints. It is a far more superior paint than those, I think. It goes on far nicer. The paper was of a better quality as well, and it seemed to, although it did have a kind of a drag to it, as you can see, so it needed a little bit more water than normal, but it did accept the paint really well. There's a lot of really high contrast in this image, so it goes from, like, as you can see, like a really dark brown to almost a white. And when you work in this way, like in little areas, working your way around, you sometimes kind of get lost. So you've always got to sort of readjust to make sure that your tonal range is where it should be at a particular time. And then maybe you correct as you go along or later on in the painting. As you can probably tell from the little video at the start, I don't really know Bridlington at all. Both me and my husband, we never sort of went there as children. So it was kind of looking at this place with fresh eyes and seeing it for the first time. It's funny, like I said in the Scarborough video, if you went to Scarborough as a kid, you never usually went to Brid, and the same way around, if you went to Brid, you never seemed to visit Scarborough. It's just what you were brought up with. But Bridlington is definitely aimed at the family. Everywhere there was just kids everywhere. I never seen as many in a seaside resort. What did start to annoy me was all the little white dots that I kind of left behind and not painted. Maybe next time I'll do something about it, but for this one I kind of left it there. It just, I don't know, I guess it adds a little bit of dynamics to it, but what do you think? So as I'm going along painting these people, it's kind of like a fine line as to how much detail you're going to add to make it actually look like a person. I mean, you can see by the size of the head, it's probably the size of my fingernail, so you can't really go in with far too much detail. You've just got to put enough there so that you know where it is. Squinting really helps, so that you're just literally just seeing shapes rather than detail. So this whole pier structure is made up of concrete, and there's some wood there as well holding up that's going into the water, and it's all this like lovely like deep green, and there's a lot of pink in there as well. You've got to really look for it, but you can see the pink. This boat I'm painting is the Yorkshire Belle, which is quite historic. It was built in 1947. And it's always been a part of Bridlington, and I think Scarborough too. So I didn't go over crazy with the detail on the boat because I didn't want that to be the main focus, so I left the detail part on the people and the pier, which is the main focus. Morning everybody, it's about 8 o'clock here in Yorkshire, and I'm just about to start my latest Bridlington painting. This is what I got to yesterday, and I'm actually quite pleased with how it went. It's a new way of working for me, working sort of out instead of just covering the whole lot. I thought with the people I wanted to get a lot of detail in there, and I thought that if I just kind of worked around them it wouldn't work for me, so I thought I'll work from the people out. So I've started in pockets, and then I'll work here next, and just sort of gradually let the painting grow, and then go back into it to add any extra detail or things like that. So I thought I'd show my face. I didn't do an intro. Well, we started to do an intro, but when we got there, Bridlington was absolutely rammed. It was still the kids' school holidays, and there was just kids everywhere. So we thought we'd found a space where nobody could sort of see us, and we started filming. And then all these kids just appeared out of nowhere. So I just abandoned it. But my husband still decided to just do a little video of the sea. It was quite nice. Well, don't I waffle on. So let's get back to the painting. So this brush was perfect for this area, and I wanted to build texture up into the wall. So when it was still wet, the paint, I added different colours, as you can see. And when that dries, it'll dry a lot lighter, so it'll be a little bit more absorbed. So recently I bought a load of Winsor & Newton designer gouache to fill my paint boxes with. So when I bought all this paint, I actually bought a colour called sepia, which is actually perfect for the concrete pier. So I've used that quite a lot, as well as added loads of different colours to it as well to get a variation here and there.
Just breathe, softies, the way to be. I'm here, no fear. I'll always be with you. I'll always be with you. I'll always be with you.
So I've never actually done crabbing before. I just wondered if any of you have. It does look good fun. I mean, these all looked absolutely addicted to it. And there were some of them that they caught was quite a decent sized crab. I think I'd be too squeamish really if I ever caught one. I'd probably just scream and throw it back in.
I'll always be with you.
Always enjoyed painting water and painting reflections, and it is quite easy. It's quite simple really, and you get really high contrast parts like what I'm doing here with the reflections dropping down, but it is really good fun. So that was the end of day 2, and it really is coming together now really well. So now I'm adding like little random shapes to create the ripples in the water, which is a really easy technique to do. It just gives the illusion that the water's sort of moving and bobbing up and down. So you can blend with gouache, although it is quite difficult, so this is what I'm doing here. So you've got to make sure that your paint you put down is wet, and then immediately go back into it with another colour. You've got to work very quickly, but you can achieve this, as you can see I'm doing here. Then I'll go on with like a pinky colour, which I'll blend those two in together as well. Right, so this is my last day of painting this Bridlington painting. And on reflection, I think it's probably one of the best ones I've done out of all the coastal Yorkshire towns I've done. I think this one has literally hit the mark of what I wanted to achieve. So I wanted to paint a picture that captured the place, and I think it's down to adding the people, to adding just these people on holiday, spending time together, families enjoying their life. Maybe it's something I need to look into. Maybe I need to add more figures, just to capture that moment, that summertime holiday that you had in 2024. I mean, these people were just that engrossed in what they were doing and having such a good time, they didn't even realise they was taking a photograph. So yeah, maybe it's something I need to sort of look more into. I know it's a lot of people don't like figures in landscapes, but I quite like it, and maybe I need to start thinking about adding more people, because I enjoy painting people. So yeah, and also the thing I'm looking forward to is actually taking this masking tape off at the end. It's kind of like when you've been cleaning all day and you sit down and treat yourself to a cuppa. It's that sort of a nice moment. So carry on with the painting.